I'm Evan Lazarus, Chief Knowledge Officer for T3Live.com. You don't become a great trader by watching videos and taking courses. You become a great trader through live screen time. Accelerate that learning curve by tapping into the experience of seasoned professionals. Currently, we're offering 5-day free trials to each of our 4 mentoring rooms. In the mentoring rooms, we teach our strategies in the context of the live market. To sign up for a free trial, go to the T3 Live education page, fill out the form, and get started when the next trading session begins. We hope to see you in one of our mentoring rooms.
Good morning. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com.
And I'm Brittany Umar, and together we bring you Morning Call. So futures are down this morning on fears about China's liquidity after the central bank there said it would not inject funds into money markets. So now the question is, how much will this continue to put pressure on our markets?
Well, our markets were pretty much already in a corrective phase, so this is going to add some fuel to the fire. You know, China, we were watching Japan, and Japan was having those massive swings, and it kind of made sense because, right, Japan was up 50% from November or from earlier, so to pull back 20% or so, that made sense, and just because the volatility was that much increased. But China, which we've spoken about, has been a weaker spot, but now they've already been weak, so now it's almost getting into some scary type of levels or capitulation type levels where their exchange was down 5.3% after already being lower. So with that said, there are some flashbacks here of what happened to us in 2007, but ultimately I think that hopefully they're in the 7th inning of this versus the 1st or 2nd, as they've already been weak, and it's not that much of a surprise.
Right. Well, why don't you show us a visual of the levels that we should watch, because in our markets there were signs of when to take risk off. Right.
Well, as these all started to come together, which for a while we were getting absolutely no volatility type headlines, and now some of them are all lining up. We need to measure our own markets, our own levels, without opinions, but more of a plan. And those that watch the levels closely over the course of the past month, they're sitting there and they probably have a lot of risk off, because if you look at the chart here, we've had some opportunities and some, just say cautionary bars here to take some risk off. Everyone in technical analysis lands know that this was an outside day. Right here, that intraday high of 1687, before that was 1674, this was your spot to take some risk off after a very big accelerated trend, even more on top of a trend that's all the way back from November. Okay, from there, we call that the day to take notice. You had some maneuvering, you had some trading back and forth. This is when we broke this upper wedge around 1640, but then you had some tradable bounces off the 50-day, and most recently, we were coming into this last week. It feels like it was a month or decade ago, but no, it wasn't. This was last week. You look right here on this chart, right at this trend line, okay, which we talked about and went over probably way too many times, but anyway, that's why we do it. It broke above this 1640-ish area the day before Big Ben actually came out and spoke. Then what happened when he spoke? It engulfed it and failed miserably. That is your spot to take risk off, get short, make adjustments, whatever it is you need to do. And from there, we then opened at the 50-day, hovered below it for 75 minutes or so, broke a double bottom, and then boom. So here you are on Friday. Friday we had a bit of a bounce, which was tactical. I didn't actually take any longs home because I wasn't sure if this would be the spot. I thought perhaps maybe we do see a little bit further down to this 40-ish area, or 1540, 1535. But ultimately, we're still, Brittany, only about 6% off the highs. So with that said, we could see lower prices considering we're up about 17, 18%, and we're starting to see some headlines right now that are, getting a little bit scarier.
So would you say then that some of the longer term trend lines are broken as well?
The longer term trend lines are, and that's good to point out because we talk about time frame. Are you an intermediate term player, a macro term player, whatever it is? We look at this one trend we've talked about on the S&P, go back to the chart, you will see this was from the November low. So let's take a look at that first. Here you go. Boom, boom, boom. Let me line it up for you. This was the low that was put in on November, what was that? I remember that day, November 16th. We were in Vegas talking about it at a conference. And from there, this was your trend line that just got broken right here. Okay, besides some of the warning flags up here if you were very quick and you were very involved. So with that said, here is the 200-day. We're still not even at the 200-day, which is now at 1521, besides the level that we saw after the Boston bombing. So this area right here to me is very important. This is 1536 going across. I don't think we get that today, but who knows what happens. But ultimately, 1577, the longer we stay below that, kind of like what happened here, the longer we stay below the 50-day, the more some sellers could get some conviction. You know, if I were you and if you were short, and this not open, I would cover some. But, you know, being long, you want to do a level versus a level. And like you said, just say you go to the weekly chart. Okay, we'll take a look from this low here, okay, on the weekly chart, and you know we still haven't broken any of these other key type levels, and there are some technicians out there saying we're going to retest this area, which could happen, okay, but even if we did come back here, which to me would be a little surprising, you know, you're still above the weekly trend lines, and all this has done is corrected the daily trend since that November area.
So now the real question is how to handle yourself in this kind of volatility. So let's check the temperature of all sectors, starting with the strongest and going down to the weakest. So of course we have to start with the banks, which have been holding up the strongest, but on Friday the XLF broke below and closed below its 50-day for the first time this year. So what do you think about the composure of the banks now?
Starting to weaken a little bit because I think some people are asking what kind of exposure do they have to Europe with some yields rising and China. So the bigger banks, you know, were getting hit. You saw that on Friday. On Friday, you know, gave us some clues. We had a gap open on Friday, and all of a sudden, Citigroup went red. Bank of America was already under pressure. Goldman then went red, showing you that still there was more weakness. So don't get aggressive trying to buy that dip. Anyway, you look at the chart here of the XLF. It's still above the 100-day, which the market's already at, so it's still showing some relative strength. Here is your pivot, 1889. That was from Friday's low. See how we handle that today. If we were to break and close below this, which is a trend line that's been intact pretty much since, you know, November, then, you know, the 100-day is right here, and here's the 200-day. And then also the same support, which is like 1530-ish in the S&P. You know, if the banks come in line, you know, you're talking about a move back down to around 18. So, you know, I would, you know, watch this closely. And if you want to take a quick look, you know, Goldman Sachs, we say best in breed, use as an indicator. This broke this upper level area. It's coming into some support. Let's see how it handles this 150 area, which you might be looking at this morning. And then under that, look at the 200-day. So, you know your levels and know your commitment. The banks will help let us know whether or not, you know, we're going to go real deep here, or we could see a bounce in the next day or so. Right,
we look to them for clues. But in consumer staples, we saw them take a small bounce on Friday. The XLP closed the day up 0.6%, right below the 100-day. So now we'll have to see if it can reclaim this key moving average in the coming sessions.
Yes, and this one went below it first, so it was stretched and came back above it. But it's been a little bit more relatively weak, if that's a word or a phrase. Anyway, it's been relatively weaker. Anyway, this trend broke right around here. Then you had this ascending channel, which we spoke about, that got engulfed. You know, gave you another move to the downside. You know, it's now below the 100-day, so it's probably opening here. I would say that if any group's going to get to the 200-day, it's probably this one. So I'd be a bit careful. Here's your point of reference right there, 3903.
And the transports dipped below its 100-day for the first time this year after a 3-day pullback. The IYT closed right around it, so now we have to see if it can reclaim it or if we'll see further pullback.
Right, and for the people who watch the Dow, they use the transports to help give them guidance. So here, still relatively weak. You know, on Friday you saw some sectors go green, and what happened here? This one stayed red. Sellers came in the last 30 minutes, and it couldn't reclaim the moving average. So now today, watch Friday's low. I'm going to sound like a broken record on this morning call because that's really what you have to do. You watch Friday's low. If we take it out, in order to get to a lower level, you have to get through a low, and then really big support comes in a little bit closer to 105. Also, remember, if we break below, come back above, then that's also a tactic. So, you know, just know where you want to be, and the transports is definitely something people look for Dow clues.
Right. And in home builders, the XHB is almost at its 200-day after giving up its 100-day on Thursday. So, again, watch Friday's low.
Yes, and know that this one broke a trend line that hasn't broken in a while. Every time that it's come into this, it's bounced off. Last week with the home building news, you know, it gave you a POD move off of it and then boom, right back down. So you look at the chart here, and you know, this time, you know, first of all, here's where the trend starts. So you could see it coming along where we broke below. Now you take a closer look here, and you will see that you know, here is like a very sloppy head and shoulders pattern with the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder. This is the first time it actually was able to break through. It broke through on Thursday, and then this was Friday. It did try and come off those lows. So today opening up, it could be either at that low, the 2911-ish, actually right there, 2817, I'm sorry. And then here is your 200-day. So watch this, and if you can't get a bounce in the home builders today after this action to the downside, you know that our market's starting to you know, have these faulty signals add up.
Right. And lastly, the utilities ETF, the XLU, has been making lower lows since the end of April. It's now below the 200-day. So what are the levels to watch there?
This too just shows you that trend analysis is key, not watching what's going on, not, just anyway, let's just get to it. This one broke its trend. It's below all the moving averages. I don't know if people want to start looking here for safety, but ultimately this trend got broken a while back. We talked about this head and shoulders pattern that triggered to the downside. It tried to stabilize here. When the market bounced, it tried to, and then got broken again. And now, it did have a tactical trade on Friday as it made a new low, went back above it, so it's probably down also. Again, so use this, which is 35.80. And then, below it, you don't have anything really down to 34. So the question here with this group is, will some look for safety here? But with rising rates, I'm not sure. Anyway, it's below all the moving averages. It's starting to curl down. This has been a broken sector for a while. I don't think any of my traders really have played anything here except for like a minor bounce because they've been short-lived.
Oh, coming up, we're going to go in the trenches with High Beta Tech, but first a quick commercial break. Stay with us.
I'm Mark Sperling, Director of Trading with T3 Trading Group and contributor to T3 Live. Do you trade on your own, but you wish you enjoyed the benefits of a large trading floor? With the T3 Live virtual trading floor, we deliver that experience to you on your computer. On the VTF, you can follow the long and short positions of experienced professional traders like myself, Scott Redler, and others, and listen to our live radio stations as we navigate the markets. In addition, you get the added value of a large community of sophisticated and like-minded traders. Your membership to the virtual trading floor also includes access to our two very popular newsletter products, Off the Charts and the Price Point Sheet at no additional cost. In my opinion, joining the room will be the best trading decision you will ever make. I would like to invite you to begin your membership with a 7-day free trial. To get started, visit t3live.com and click on the Virtual Trading Floor tab. Have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you in the VTF.
High Beta Tech definitely was weakened at the end of last week. We saw standout names like Google even finally affected by the weakness.
Yes, and even the strongest stocks, when markets figure out that the greater averages are going lower, people sell. Why not? Who wants to have risk on, especially in these type of names? But when you get a day like today, when we're in a very oversold environment, you look towards these to see if there's opportunity, especially if you sold strength or used high-level stops. You go to Google, you'll see right here that you did have this descending channel where you gave yourself a nice entry, and here is another one, here is a retest. Then this was a little bit of a topping tail. So with that said, if you sold here, it tried to rally, it tried to hold, but it still felt a little weak. I'll tell you that on Thursday, Friday. So here is Friday's low, 873. If it could hold this, perhaps it goes green and stays above this little trend line that we've seen since the bottom here on June 6th. If it were to close below this 873, then I think the 50-day becomes a magnet. And this will give us some clues to say whether we could bounce. If it slices through 873 and doesn't find the friend, it's going to be hard for the greater averages and the market to come off the lows.
And LinkedIn also had a 2-day pullback last week, and it's trying to hold its short-term uptrend. Do you expect it to continue to find buyers along it?
This would be another thing like Netflix, which we'll get to, Google, to see if any stronger names or leaders can go green, because that's what you want to see happen if you're trying to see if we could actually bounce. So if you look here on LinkedIn, it's been in this real big upper area. Here is earnings. Remember that earnings that were they missed, gap down, tried to regroup, fill the gap, failed. This was a decent shorting spot. And then since the low here, it's been trickling higher. Okay, just pulled back 3 days. This kind of looks like Google, where you have a small uptrend that it's trying to hold. If LinkedIn were to hold Friday's low of 169, perhaps it could try and go green and then build a new level of support. If it were to break this, here's your next point of reference right here, which comes in 165, and then this is that recent pivot, which is around 160. So watch this area, and it's something that I will look at in the first hour to see if there's any signs of relative strength.
How about Netflix? Closed right around its 50-day on Friday. Will you be looking at this one today to see if it can go green?
The same strategy. Like when you come into a sea of red, you want to see if any possible strong names could show some signs of life, and this one has been one of the names that tries to do that, especially on big down days. And here is this overall big pattern with a lot of tactical moves in the middle, still protecting a big portion of its gap. So you did have that move, remember, with that big content deal, and then it broke the area here. So this was a spot to have some stops in once it went back in that gap around 222, 223. Here's Friday's low, 214.20. If it could hold that, trade versus out. If it breaks it, then you have to see how it handles this 205, and then you'll know that it's not really pent up and there's not much that's really bucking the trend. So watch the low here, like we've said most of this call, to see if you could see anything that could provide some cash flow.
Now, I would imagine that Amazon would definitely be on your watch list today because, as we've discussed a lot recently, that's also one of the best names in tech.
Yes, and this is hanging in there. So this one has a bigger ascending type of uptrend. So you look here at Amazon, tactically it made a lot of sense a few times. Remember, we played it right here. It was pent up, boom, 2-day move, kind of failed there. But this one we actually sold into strength here. I was buying right around there, and then it didn't have enough power, got out of it. And now it's trying to hold this small uptrend that was put in since mid-April. So if it could stay up here, you got a leader, and when we find our footing, this is something to go with. If it doesn't hold Friday's low of 269, then it could come back into kind of mediocrity and see 265 or even a move lower. So I think it's at a important spot. So they might try and defend it, and it's down with the futures. This is part of that group of go-to names that are only considered go-to if they hold up, so it'll be interesting to see how it pans out today.
And lastly, how about Apple? We have news out this morning, some reports that Apple's executive compensation package will be now tied to the stock's performance, perhaps a potential future catalyst for the stock?
They're trying a few things. The stock has been a laggard. It's been a disappointment. It's gotten battered and bruised from 270 all the way down. We tried to figure out if it had a bottom formation with that inverse head and shoulders pattern, but to only get negated by the ascending channel. Those of you who follow Apple know what I'm talking about. Go to the chart here. You will see here is that potential inverse head and shoulders pattern with the left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder. You take that closer look here. Remember, we're like, okay, what's going to win here? And that ascending channel on the breaking. So that was my exit. That's when I turned Apple from my A list to maybe my C- list. Tried it one more time. This was that day of the developers conference that failed. And since then, you've had a much more, I would say, a better P&L by being short versus long. Last few inflection points, you had 208.50 or 428.50, I'm sorry. That broke below. Then we talked about this 419-ish, okay, which it broke below. So it's really showing you no reason to get in there for a longer term trade. You have no igniting bar, you have no pattern. It's just dribbling lower with the market. It's not even giving you that reverse ETF technique, because for a while, market would go down, some money would hide in Apple. Now It's actually, it was relatively weaker, and now it's still going down with the market. So it's really giving you not many reasons to own it. But day late today, you want to see if some money gravitates towards it. So watch yesterday's low or Friday's low.
Friday's low. All right, let's do some quick hits here and talk our guy Elon Musk and Tesla, which actually held up pretty well during the pullback, still above its 21-day.
It's still, but again, you want to make sure that this pattern stays up there because it's had a big move, and when markets get weak, it's hard for even the leaders to lead. So if you look here, you will see has like an ascending channel or an uptrend, kind of like I showed you with LinkedIn and with the first one, which was Google. So here you go. 97.50 is an area, the 21-day. It hasn't been below the 21-day for a long time. So if it were to close below the 21-day and you're a short-term investor or market participant, maybe you sell some, because in the next area could really be 89 again, or perhaps this one gets its first real test of the 50-day in a long time. But we measure when things change, and right now it's it's trying to hang in there, but little weakness. So again, this is also a candidate to go from negative to positive, but if it doesn't do that and closes below the 21-day, which it hasn't in a while, get out of the way, because you could see a little bit more corrective activity until a better market.
And we've talked a lot lately about Scott's thesis about going along the TBT and short the TLT. And in terms of the TLT, we saw it shed another 1.7% on Friday. So check in on that thesis for us.
Yeah, still heading lower. We've talked about the head and shoulders pattern in TLT, about how rates should go higher, and then here you go, boom, this is the left shoulder, here's your head, we've drawn this many times, your right shoulder, and it's below all the moving averages and just going lower, okay? It's broken another level. You could do what you want to do here. Like if you're in this and you're in a lot of profits, cover some, but keep some in the drawer. The same way we said with TBT, if it breaks above 70, that's your add. Well, it's above 70. It's now giving you a really nice trade above 70, and I think it's opening up again today. So look at the size of this move. So if you want to trim and trail some, do so, but also keep some in the drawer. Because remember, during the big rally, we were all holding on to a lot of positions, and unfortunately, we're a little risk averse. We like to take profits, and I trimmed and trailed my way out of a lot of good longs as they went higher. So with this one, don't give it away, but it has come a long way, and you don't want to like chase it up here. You don't want to just short TLTs today or buy TBTs today. If you're doing so, you're chasing things, and even if they do go in that direction or the right direction over time, you have to figure out how to get better entries and exits.
Now, how about gold? It was able to find its footing on Friday after gapping down on Thursday, but are you still bearish on this?
Yes, but it's at a level where it's hard to be short. I was short on, I think, Wednesday coming into Thursday, covered pretty well, and then it did bounce a little bit on Friday, and people are like, oh, should we get long? I'm like, it's just down so much, but and it's very oversold. So today you come in, gold's down a little bit. We have a point of reference from last Thursday. You look here at the chart, you will see here is that intermediate trend that broke to the downside. Here is that macro trend line that we talked about, 148.50, that broke to the downside. Then this was your most recent break. So go a little closer and you will see here is your your point of reference. Okay, you have 123.33, which I think we're still above. So some might try and buy verse that, but if this were to give way, I think this is a line that I have on the weekly and monthly that comes in well below 120 with one little micro spot of 122 from years ago.
Well, so hopefully all of this helps handle yourself in this kind of volatility, but what will you be focusing on as we head into the trading session?
Just we're going to look at Friday's low. I'm going to see if we, break below it, and how long could the sellers keep you below it. Sometimes they want to steal your stock through your stops if you happen to be long, which a lot of people I don't think are really. So, but the longer you stay below that low, the more conviction they have that there's no buyers there, and that could take you to those lower levels, and we mapped out a lot of them earlier in the call. I'm going to try and stay tactical. I'm going to embrace volatility, look to see if there's any spots to buy relative strength-wise. I'm going to have a lot of rentals in this market. I'm not going to be looking for, long-term stays. If we do come down quick, and for some reason, like we really sell off, that 1530 to 1540 would be an area that I would look very closely, and I probably would start tearing in there, if I don't start doing something tactically before. Or today maybe you get a trend down day and then tomorrow you get that trade. But whatever you do, do what's in your risk world, so to speak. And what's important is knowing your time frame. But from here, there's a lot of doomsday guys out there right now. There's a lot of people saying we're going to be 30% off the highs. This is it. This is 2007, 8. I don't think that's the case. I personally think that the correction is 2/3 over, especially from where we're starting right now. Down here today, 1570-ish. We could go lower, but I do think that there's going to be opportunities soon. And even we can be back and forth throughout the summer. Just don't, close your eyes and say, I'm not watching the market anymore, because we're coming in. That's when you get the most opportunities.
All right. Thanks so much, Scott. Happy trading, everybody. Have a great Monday.